October 27, 1962. Deep beneath the waves of the Caribbean, a Soviet submarine B-59 is cornered. American destroyers are dropping depth charges, trying to force it to the surface. On board, the air is thick, the temperature is soaring, and communication with Moscow is cut off. The submarine's captain, Valentin Savitsky, believes war has already broken out. He gives the order to arm the vessel's most devastating weapon, a nuclear-tipped torpedo. One man, Vasily Arkhipov, stands between the world and nuclear annihilation. For nearly half a century, the world held its breath. The Cold War, a tense standoff between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, was a war fought not with armies clashing on open fields, but with spies in shadowy alleys, with proxy wars in distant lands, and with the constant, terrifying threat of mutually assured destruction. We often think of it as a Cold War, a conflict of ideologies. But how close did we actually come to a full-blown, world-ending nuclear exchange? The answer is far, far closer than most of us imagine. The story of the Cold War is a story of close calls, of moments when the hands of the doomsday clock crept perilously close to midnight. The Cuban Missile Crisis is the most famous, but it was just one of many terrifying incidents. There was the Able Archer 83 exercise, a NATO wargame so realistic that the Soviets genuinely believed a surprise nuclear attack was imminent. Their own nuclear forces were put on high alert, ready to launch a preemptive strike. For 10 agonizing days, the world teetered on the brink, saved only by a combination of luck and the cautious hesitation of a few key individuals on both sides. And then there was the man who single-handedly saved the world. On September 26, 1983, Stanislav Petrov, a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Air Defense Forces, was on duty at a secret command center near Moscow. The early warning system reported that 5 American intercontinental ballistic missiles were heading straight for the Soviet Union. Protocol was clear: report the attack to his superiors, who would almost certainly initiate a retaliatory launch. It didn't feel like a real first strike. He went against every rule in the book and reported it as a false alarm. A rare alignment of sunlight on high-altitude clouds had tricked the satellites. His decision, born from intuition and a healthy dose of skepticism, prevented a nuclear holocaust. So what would have happened if Arkhipov had given in? What if Petrov had followed protocol? What if the leaders during Able Archer had panicked? The scenarios, studied for decades by military planners and scientists, are the stuff of nightmares. It wouldn't have been a war. It would have been an extinction-level event. Within minutes, hundreds, then thousands of nuclear warheads streak across the sky. Cities like Washington, D.C., Moscow, London, and Beijing would vanish in blinding flashes of light, replaced by mushroom clouds climbing miles into the atmosphere. The immediate blast, the searing heat, and the hurricane-force winds would obliterate everything within a massive radius. Tens of millions would die instantly. Radioactive dust, carried by the winds, would blanket entire continents. It would poison the air, the water, the soil. Anyone who survived the initial blasts would face a slow, agonizing death from radiation sickness. Infrastructure would collapse. There would be no electricity, no running water, no communication. Governments would cease to exist. Society, as we know it, would crumble into dust. And then comes the long, slow winter. The immense fires from the burning cities would throw so much soot and smoke into the upper atmosphere that it would block out the sun. This is the concept of nuclear winter. Global temperatures would plummet, even in the summer. Crops would fail worldwide, leading to mass starvation on an unimaginable scale. Ecosystems would collapse. The thin veil of ozone protecting us from the sun's ultraviolet radiation would be destroyed. The planet would become a cold, dark, radioactive wasteland, hostile to most forms of life. It would be a regression of civilization, not by centuries, but by millennia. The few survivors would huddle in the ruins, scavenging for scraps, their world a toxic, frozen shadow of what it once was. This wasn't science fiction. This was the doctrine of mutually assured destruction, or MAD. The idea was simple and terrifyingly logical. If both sides had enough nuclear weapons to completely destroy the other, the price of victory was your own annihilation. It was a strategy that kept a fragile, terrifying peace. At its peak, the global nuclear stockpile contained enough firepower to destroy the world many times over. Each side developed a nuclear triad: bombers, land-based missiles, and submarine-launched missiles, to ensure that even if a surprise attack wiped out some of its weapons, it could still launch a devastating counterstrike. The culture of the Cold War was saturated with this fear. Children practiced duck and cover drills at school, hiding under their desks as if that could save them from a thermonuclear blast. Families built fallout shelters in their backyards, stocking them with canned goods and water. The fear was a constant, low-humming background noise to everyday life. The Berlin Wall stood as a stark, concrete symbol of the division, a physical manifestation of the Iron Curtain that separated East from West. Every international crisis, every diplomatic spat, carried the implicit threat of escalation. The Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, these were all proxy conflicts where the superpowers fought each other indirectly, carefully avoiding a direct confrontation that could ignite the final war. Spies like the Cambridge Five and Aldrich Ames played a deadly game of cat and mouse, their betrayals capable of tipping the delicate balance of power. Looking back from the relative safety of the 21st century, it's easy to dismiss the Cold War as a relic of a bygone era. But the weapons are still here. Thousands of them remain on hair-trigger alert. The story of the Cold War isn't just history, it's a chilling, cautionary tale. It's a story about how close we came to the end, and a reminder of the courage and conscience of individuals like Vasily Arkhipov and Stanislav Petrov, who stood on the precipice and chose to pull us back from the brink. They are the unsung heroes who saved the world. If you found this journey into one of history's most dangerous chapters fascinating, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world.